All right, Matt, it's good to have you back again today. I think today we're going to talk about the inspections process and kind of how that relates to digital transformation with utilities and similar companies. So how about putting us on even ground here? Can you tell us what you mean by inspections?
So as you go to our website, we highly focus on asset intensive service companies. And so pretty much all that world lives by inspections, whether it's inspections on your own assets or you're in the business of, providing inspection services like for fire safety systems. But really today, because of different regulatory elements, whether it be environmental or safety, or even just new products and services that are coming to market, you're really seeing inspections as part of almost every industry today. So inspections can mean a lot of different things, from purely maintaining assets and making sure that they're in good health and things like corrosion that are not happening, to looking at a work environment and making sure that we have a safe work environment.
Okay. So inspections obviously aren't a new concept. How is it changing today beyond that? What's going on within these companies?
There's kind of, I would say, if you kind of go back and look at inspections, and part of it was really more of a audit mechanism to make sure that someone went out and did something and ensures that, and or before they did a work activity, they followed a specific procedural step, or an inspection as a first part of that. To today, you're seeing businesses that are being created around inspection services, and you're also seeing the change of, or the importance of inspections as it relates to things like work environment, things like asset health and uptime, and so on. Because with the different technology that's out there now, whether it be the automation of the field capture of the data, or putting things like AI behind it and really looking for trends and predictability and hardening, let's say, utility infrastructure, it's tremendously changing, and we're seeing much higher value for inspections from what they were kind of used for traditionally in many of the different industries that we serve.
Okay, so traditionally maybe it's looking backwards or it's making sure something gets fixed or checked. And you're saying today artificial intelligence and other technology that lets them look forward, right? More analytical. Is that right?
Absolutely, and also the trending side. If you think of, like, even in the construction world, we did a lot of inspection work and doing field inspections and soil compaction inspections and so on. And much of that check and balance and really the true kind of knowledge in that, had to happen at that engineer skill level. That's the one very senior, been working in industry, knew when they looked at a particular proctor data that, percentage that this is a variable that is not safe, or we've got a condition change in the site, where today you can use technology to bring a lot of that same. So it allows you to both scale as a business, it allows you to empower different worker levels, and it allows you to take those senior individuals and build better service models, better predictability, and also just looking across. If you think about a geotechnical business that's been in business for 30 years and they've done thousands of different projects, now being able to really look at that data over much more historical or comparative type of lines, it gives them much more intel as it relates to even more improved specialization and services, which is what their customers are obviously paying for, on the feasibility of a site or what the environmental impact may be, and so on. So you're seeing it happen at both levels as it relates to positive impact, both within traditional models where very senior people are specialists, and really making ensuring that we've got correct build environments, or in the utility case it could be, or oil and gas, as well as now the empowerment of different skills within the organization that allows us to scale and make the whole, both the capture side of inspections and then the analytical side and then the predictability of what the right action is, much more streamlined and automated today.
Wow, that's great. So if you were giving advice to somebody, how do they know? Obviously a lot of companies are past the paper stage, right? They're using some sort of system to collect information on inspections. How do they take a look at their systems? How do they know when it's time to maybe step it up?
quite frankly, a lot of businesses that have automated some of it, there's still a lot of manual inspections going on, either because the impact or the requirement around how quickly that has to be produced or dependency on actions that have to happen aren't as high. So think of that example I talked about before. It's more in the case of like an audit to ensure that someone's done something where they're taking the right steps. You know, what we're seeing is two things because of technology. One is the ease by which we can automate that process. And so whether someone's working on an iPad or Android device or whatever it may be, and it's a disconnected mode, and we just simply want to create efficiency in that workload where instead of carrying around their folder with all these different forms, they can simply input that in an app in an offline mode. They can even have some business logic built in where based on the type of data that they're putting in, it's giving them some results right there instead of that having to go back to the lab. And we've got that lag time, particularly if you look at like a build environment or in energy, because there's so much dependency on timelines and also just risk of the work that we do. So there's kind of basic elements that you can do with a lot of these Canvas apps today, and then there's kind of making it very actionable. So we put that in a database, we put it into a system, and now we want to drive specific predictive maintenance activities or work order activities or break fix activities or emergency or whatever it may be. And then you're seeing very modern technologies, as I was mentioning, with using things like image recognition, so that we're really fully automating the process. And so you've got maybe image recognition that's going on at a site, and then you've got things like robotic process automation that are taking action that someone physically would have to do, you know, through automation. So it's just,
Right.
and I think what's great about it today is that it's very easy to kind of automate that. It's very low hanging fruit as it relates to the impact. I mean, simple things. If I'm in the business, you know, if I'm a specialist, I'm an engineer, I'm an electrician, or we're providing services to different industries, then inspections are pretty important as it relates to how the quality and the efficiency that we turn those around. And many times the impact is either on our build process, so it improves our you know, day sales outstanding because we can deliver those reports almost in a real-time basis. And then from a safety perspective or a work perspective, the ability to get knowledge, immediate knowledge on what we've captured in an inspection type or site environment allows us to make much better decisions as it relates to, let's say, downhill drilling on a rig, for example. And then it could improve other things like, you know, things like cash flow because we can do electronic field tickets, for example. But then you have kind of the direct element, you know, the non-financial impact, which are things like safety. You know, we can greatly improve the safety of our work environment for our workers and the work activities that we do. From an asset perspective, the predictability that we can provide with automating the inspection process and the longevity that we can provide in maintaining assets at a higher level and more cost-effective level. There's just tremendous impact on the downstream side at automating, you know, a simple inspection process.
That's great. So Matt, somebody listens to your vlog today and they say, wow, you know, there's room for improvement in our inspection process. They want to make an investment. Step one is?
I think there's a couple of things. Number one, I would say, you know, I think that we've got to look at inspections as a nonlinear process, and you've got to think about the impact and what are all the different things that if we automate this or if we create some downstream elements to and just inspection versus just data capture and then it goes and gets stored somewhere. How do we make it actionable? I would say I would look at number one, you know, all inspections have tremendous value, and I think there's untapped value that we're just checking the box versus actually making it very actionable. So that would be number one. So that's more of a process thing. Two would be as it relates to thinking of the inspection process in more of the context of what we consider more kind of platform thinking. So it's one thing just to automate, you know, forms and allow people to capture data and then submit that kind of blindly through email or just uploading to a site. But what we found is that, you know, setting up the right structure, the right governance, and some key elements as it relates to how that data is uploaded or how that data is accessible and how we make it actionable. I would recommend, you know, that's where we see a lot of these fail, is because there's not been a lot of thought process around really a structured process and governance around how we do, field data capture or inspections.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of times these projects are a good opportunity to rethink processes, right? Things people have been doing forever, and they scratch their heads and say, there's just a better way, and it goes beyond the software.
Yep.
Matt, thank you again for your time. We'll catch you again next week.
Sounds good. Take care.